Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our next, online pre-recorded tutors notes or presentation, or this is what I would usually be saying, or my usual presentation if we were doing an in-person tutorial. So this week we are, recapping the notes on problem recognition and the impact of consumer goals in this process. As you may have noticed, I'm using also a new application to do this recording, and it's changing my life because I don't have to insert that stupid little video in the corner and it's just all done. If anyone is interested, it's called Loom, Loom, may be useful if you have to do like recordings in the future. Mind blown if this works. If it's working, you'll be able to see it. If it's not, then so be it. Anyway, enough rambling. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, so like I said, we're looking at problem recognition, consumer goals. Okay, the most important thing to note here is that essentially this is sort of like the first stage in the consumer decision-making process. And you'll note that, your final quiz is all about you visually drawing the consumer behaving decision-making process. So for many people, this is the start. Maybe for some people it's not, but I'll just explain to you what we mean by problem recognition. Okay, so basically what we're saying here is in order for you to feel like you need to buy any sort of product, you need to feel like you have a problem. And that means, that sounds quite severe, but it basically means, hey, I need to realize that I feel thirsty. That's my problem currently, and that's why I'm going to go out and buy a bottle of water. Okay, another problem. I feel really hungry. This is why I'm going to go out and buy a meal. This is why I'm going to order Uber Eats. This is why I'm going to start cooking. So can you see how anything I do or purchase has to start with having a problem first? Okay, so basically when we realize we have this problem, something gets activated in our brain and we usually have a goal in mind that's going to help us achieve the problem. Okay, so if my problem is my phone is really laggy, my goal is to get a new phone, and I will take the steps that I need in order to purchase that new phone. Okay, so different consumers have different goals as well. And so very technically, a problem is recognized as, or the size of the problem is recognized as the difference between your actual state and your desired state. So what does that actually mean? I will explain that to you with this example. So an actual state is how you're feeling right now. Example, hungry Vicky is my actual state, and my desired state is fed and happy Vicky. Now, how big my problem is, or how big the gap between those two issues, depends on, in this example that I've given you, how hungry I am, right? So if I'm just a little bit hungry, I say to myself, oh, it's okay, I can wait a couple of hours for dinner. I don't end up buying anything now. However, if I'm feeling super, super hungry right now, I can't wait. You can see that the gap between my actual and desired state is massive, and I'm like, I can't even order Uber Eats. I can't even wait 15 minutes. I need to open up a bag of chips right now and fix that problem. So can you see how the difference between my actual and desired state is going to represent how big my consumer problem is and how I go about solving that problem, which basically means what product am I going to buy or use to solve my problem? Okay, and so these two, we call this the need state, and I guess our need state is influenced either internally or externally. So in my hungry example, this is basically influenced internally, right? So internally, my stomach grumbles, my brain tells me, hey, I can't function, I've got a problem, I'm super hungry, need to be fed, need to go buy food. However, consumers can also have need states triggered by external sources. So the biggest external source of need triggering is an advertisement. Okay, so basically I could be going along happy Judah life, just browsing the internet, and suddenly an ad pops up on the side that says, new iPhone, $100 off or something like that. And suddenly I feel like I need to go buy that new iPhone. But can you see how that need was triggered externally? It was by looking at an ad that was presented to me, not because it came from an internal desire to get the new phone to begin with, okay? So moving on. All right, so what are the actual implications of knowing this? Like, so what? Okay, we've realized that consumers start the decision making process and purchase process by one, recognizing they have a problem, and two, having a need state. But cool, now what? So, this actually carries big implications for marketers. And we can actually use this information to do two things to our consumers, okay? So number one, and this is the most popular thing done by marketers, is they often create new desired states to make you feel like you need something, okay? So what does that mean, and what are some examples of that? So perfect example is when you have a perfectly functioning phone, and yes, like I said, you see a friend using a newer phone, or you see an ad for a newer phone. Suddenly this creates a really big gap between your actual and your desired state, because it's basically what these ads or looking at your friends is doing is it's creating a new essentially desired state. So suddenly you feel like you need to go buy that phone. So as you can see with my little cartoon on the side, a perfect example of a marketer creating a desired state. Another example of creating a desired state is the iPad or a tablet. So no one actually needs a tablet. It's halfway between a computer and a phone. However, when it was presented and first launched on the market, it showed the ease of use, how lightweight it was, but really everyone already had the functionalities, but suddenly they felt like they needed to get a tablet. So now most people have a tablet, a computer, and a phone. And then also another example of marketers creating a need state, and I'm sure this is the case for everybody, including myself, but that is the creation of fashions, okay? So I'm sure everyone has more than one pair of shoes. And technically, economically speaking, you do not need that. You just need one pair of shoes, right? However, because marketers create new fashions, they make you feel like you need to get 3 pairs of trainers, in order to have the latest, hippest style of trainers, okay? So this is the perfect example of marketers creating new need states for you. And the new need state is, I look down at my trainers, they're pretty ugly and out of fashion. I look in the store, I see, a new pair of Vans. Everyone seems to be wearing them. That's where I want to be. So that's my new desired state. They've created this state, and I go and buy those shoes. Okay, so can you see how marketers can create new desired states? The second way of, I guess, influencing the need state is actually, and we don't see many marketers do this, but it definitely still happens, is they basically discount or define your actual state. And very simply put, that just means they're making you feel bad about what you currently have, such that you then say, ugh, I'm hating what I currently have, I'm hating how I currently feel, I'm hating what I'm currently doing, I need to go buy that new product that you're advertising. So an example of that is when, campaigns show or say something along the lines of, tired of waiting for 2 minutes for your old laptop to start up? Well, with the new, Dell Intel 5700, startup only takes 2.5 seconds, saving you so much time in life. And then you feel like you need to go buy that new product. So you felt like you need to buy that product because they made you feel bad about what you're currently doing, which is waiting 4 minutes for your computer to start up. Another, I guess, sector of companies or whatnot that uses this technique is the pro-social sector. So, anti-obesity campaigns, anti-littering campaigns, anti-drinking campaigns, anti-smoking campaigns. They all try to get you to change your behavior by making you feel bad about your current behavior. So you'll see anti-smoking campaigns. They'll cut someone's body up. There's a dead lung in there. It's black. It's rotten. They're like, that's what you're currently doing. Hey, this is why you need to change your behavior. Yeah, so they'll make you feel bad about your current behavior, and that's why we call this technique discounting the actual state. So I just like to say, I like to shorten it to just making you feel bad about your actual actions, your current actions, in order for you to change your behavior. All right, moving on. Okay, so then another thing, like I said previously, that marketers can do and that consumers usually have in their brains is when they go out to buy a product or a service, they have already a goal in mind, right? So, like I said, if I've said I've got a problem, my computer's so slow, I need to go out and buy a new computer. I've got a couple of goals floating around in my head, and those goals are, okay, I need a new computer that's, lightweight, and my goal is to have this computer last me for another 5 years, and I also want it to look really good. So these are a couple of goals in my head floating around, and you'll have the same thing, okay? So anytime you go out and buy something, you have these predetermined goals in your head about the product that you're going to buy and how it's going to help you achieve those goals. You just don't necessarily say it out loud like I have. But basically, these goals are going to influence all different aspects of the consumer decision-making process. And the other steps I've listed in that bubble, you don't need to worry too much about now, but those are the topics that will be coming up in the future lectures. But, what our goals are really going to influence each one of those steps, okay? But in terms of organization of goals, okay, consumers usually have like 3 levels. We've got objectives, we've got mid-level goals, and we've got meta goals. And what does that mean? Okay, so I'll just give you another example. When it comes to, for example, buying, when I'm thirsty, okay, my objective is to quench my thirst. Like, I just need to get rid of this feeling in my throat. My goal is I want to buy a bottle that I can reuse. And then my meta goal may be, in this scenario, I want to contribute to a better earth by buying a bottle that is environmentally decomposable, okay? Or another meta goal is I want to buy water because it will lead to me being a healthier person. Okay, so can you see how with even such a small product, there's so many different levels of consumer goals in their choice for that product? And so why do we need to know that? Usually I would ask a class, but I can't do that here. But why do we need to know that? Well, it helps marketers, better sell the product and try to achieve each one of those goals. So if they know a lot of their consumers have the same goals as me when it comes to a water purchase, they can market their product as achieving every single one of those levels of goals rather than just one, for example. Okay, so if you've got any questions at all with this content or with any content, just like note it down, and what will happen is we can go through it in the collaborate sessions. Okay, so we've got heaps of time in the collaborate sessions, or the live tutorials as you want to call it, to go through any questions that you may have. What else did I want to say? Yeah, okay, so we can move on. All right, so you may have seen this, and in terms of a different course that you've done, but basically, consumers also have 3 different levels of decision making, and that includes habitual decision making, limited decision making, extended decision making, and like the names pretty much suggest, each level of decision making is more and more complex and involves, I guess, more consumer cognitive thought process to achieve these goals. All right, so I realize I probably should have talked about this slide before the last one, but to wrap up, and probably the weekly comprehension question will come from here, not sure yet, but to wrap up, what else can we do as marketers about this knowledge that we've learned about problem recognition? So number 1 is we can aid problem recognition. Like I said, we can create desired states, fashion, feature improvement, to basically make you feel like you need to buy a new product. We can also focus on the unsatisfactory actual state, which is discounting the actual state by highlighting, hey, your car is really old, that's why you need to buy a new car. A couple of other things we can do, however, as marketers is we can also time problem recognition, okay? And this is pretty much intuitive. You will notice that you will obviously not see a commercial or an ad for a heater in summer because the time that you would need the problem of needing a heater would simply not present itself in summer. Instead, you would need a heater in winter, okay? So a lot of marketers, they time that those advertisements for the season. Example, they'll show you cough medicine in winter because you're most likely to get the flu. Okay, and then thirdly, what marketers also do, and this one I rarely see, but they can also suppress problem recognition. If you can think of any times that marketers do this, please note it down and we can discuss it in the tutorial. But this basically means marketers not wanting you to realize that you have a problem. Okay, so the only time I can think of when marketers do this is when they know their competitor has a superior product. So they will obviously try to make you feel like you don't need that superior product by continuing to highlight how great their product is and how great your actual state is. Okay, like I said, I don't think it's a particularly viable technique because there's just so much information for consumers these days. Okay, so consumers are, the most, I guess, armed with information they've ever been, thanks to the internet and phones and all that stuff. So trying to dupe people into thinking they don't have a problem may be quite difficult in today's world. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. I don't know how long this has gone for, hopefully not too long. But yes, I will send out, no, I won't. Please just tune in to your tutorial time next. Please, I'll put on I'll either email you or I'll put out a announcement. I'll get Matthew to put out an announcement on Moodle, but I'm looking forward to meeting all of you there and speak soon. Bye.